In this episode, I will explore how Mother Nature can contribute to any campaign, from creating characters and NPCs to traveling in the extremes of weather. Welcome to the Mythras Matters Podcast, Season 1, Episode 72, Dealing with the Forces of Nature. Hello and welcome to Mythras Matters, a podcast dedicated to the Mythras rule set and all its supplements. As always, I'm your host, Inwils, and welcome to August. I always refer to August as the quiet month. Working in education for the majority of my working life has meant that I've either been on holiday during August, or August has been the only month that I can take the majority of my annual leave. Despite many people being on holiday, it also means that others are going on their holidays with their families or friends, or are just taking a break from their usual routines, which means that gaming sessions might be limited or even cancelled for the whole of August. Now, I'm not the sort of person that goes away for their holiday. I don't even own a passport. So I spend every August trying to get ahead with campaigns and content. Following Mike's excellent advice on creating a sci-fi campaign in last month's episode, and from some great suggestions from the Discord, I have started recreating my campaign world for M-Space. When I first started to create the campaign, I was floundering somewhat, trying to understand the concepts and get the feel for a sci-fi campaign. However, now with a basic checklist in place, I have made a new start. The characters will not be changing, just the overall feel of the campaign and how the space is put together. For example, I'm going to move away from starships having jump drives in favor of void drives, and traveling occurring between systems via void gates. In addition to rewriting the concepts, I have taken a different route for mapping the systems. I had started to just revert to my traveler days and started to create subsector hex maps. But with my campaign, I wanted to make something different. So I broke out Campaign Cartographer, and after watching several tutorials on YouTube, I embarked on the new maps for my system. As always, I'm collating all the campaign information on my World Anvil site. If you're interested in how things are progressing, please check out the link in the show notes and follow the world to receive notifications when I create new articles. It's going to be a long journey, but I'm on the right path now and should be able to create something quite special. And speaking of something quite special, I received a request to create a video showcasing all the RPG content I produce over a month. I responded to that request and the video is now live. To tell you the truth, I'd forgotten how much content I actually create in a month for the RPG games. I am usually so deeply involved in the creative process, constantly shifting between various aspects, that I forget what I do, just completing one project and moving on to the next. In the video, I also share my unconventional business model for generating income. I know you will laugh at my naivety, So do check out the link in the show notes and let me know what you think. In this month's episode, I wanted to focus on something that I've been collecting information about for some time. I was going to create a long-form video about it, but I've decided to share it via this episode since there wasn't really any need for some fancy video effects. I've always been amazed by the power of nature. I used to live by the sea and was so impressed by the power of the waves as they crashed against the sea defences. I have also been fascinated by storms and high winds. The power they can exert on their surroundings is immense, and coupled with the power of lightning, you can really start to see the power of nature. This fascination with weather, climate, and the environment itself has led me to consider how this power could be capitalized on and brought into any RPG game. So first up, let's talk about character concepts. For me, 3 druids have made their mark on fantasy fiction and films. The first is the druid who had animals living in his beard and rode a sleigh pulled by rabbits, Radagast the Brown from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Although his power is not instantly recognizable, his love for nature is. The way he protects the forest and animals that live there really struck a chord with me. He's not this all-powerful wizard, but one who has values and beliefs which he is willing to commit his life to. The second druid of some note in my books is Alanon from the Sword of Shannara. It has been a while since I read these books, but I do remember reading early on in one of the books how Alanon fights his way out of a library or some building. He is probably not a typical druid, but that combat description has stayed with me for a long time. But the final druid I only recently found is Triss Marigold from the Witcher series. There is an excellent scene when the armies are approaching and Triss sends her magic through the ground, causing mushrooms to sprout up at the feet of the army. As the army continues to march forward, their boots stand on the mushrooms and hundreds of poisonous spores are sent into the air. The army soon starts to ingest these, and before long, they are all dead on the ground, foaming from their mouths. Whether you align with one of my favourite druids or any others, the expanse of their power is significant. And their power is not limited to fantasy settings. Superheroes can also wield the power of nature itself, whether this involves controlling the weather like Storm from the X-Men, or having power over plants such as poisonous ivy or hedge thicket. Heroes and villains who control nature can be very formidable. Creating characters that control nature in Destined is relatively easy. The creation power can allow them to develop things from water or even air, and elemental control would enable them to manipulate one of the classic 4 elements. Then any other power can be adapted to link it to nature. For example, flight, super swimming, or even deflection and entrapment. When it comes to creating fantasy characters that hold dominion over nature, then there are several ways to achieve this. In classic fantasy, the rules give you the possibility of being a druid and or ranger. Even bards have the option of being druidic in nature. We actually play classic fantasy imperative, which only has the 4 basic classes, But a druid is still possible using these rules. You can easily make a magic user or a cleric who only uses nature's spells and has dedicated themselves to the preservation of a local forest or environment. With the Mythras rule set, you have probably options with both sorcery and theism, but for me, the true druid lies in the realm of the animist. These elemental shamans can control the spirits of nature themselves and have the power to tame and redirect storm spirits. Whether you are using fantasy rules or superhero rules, there is one aspect of the nature character that is paramount, and that is its dedication to nature itself. This allows a character to express their passions through reflections of their thoughts, beliefs, and even actions. As a GM, this provides you with some exciting hooks for the character. Inform them that someone is destroying the local forest for financial gain, and the player should immediately take action. And let's face it, who will win when the forest itself is fighting back? Moving away from characters, you next have the power of the weather. In all campaign worlds, the climate has a significant impact on gameplay. Whether this is the arid landscapes of planets such as Tatooine or the snow-covered peaks of Hoth, the climate can significantly impact on clothing, movement, and even visibility. Several times we focus on this visibility, not being able to see things from the hail or the flurry of snow. However, these weathers or climates would not only increase the difficulty grade of the character's perception rolls. Traveling in heavy clothing to keep warm will mean that combat and skill rolls will be harder, with the added challenge of ensuring that characters stay upright if they're fighting on, say, ice-covered ground. This is when the indigenous life forms will have an advantage, as they will be adapted to the landscape in which they hunt and live. I recall an episode of one of the podcasts when I spoke with someone about changing the environment of a combat can transform a simple opponent into a deadly one. When the weather is hot and dry, additional water will be needed, and the characters will need to be careful not to expose themselves for too long to the extreme temperatures. This will also have an impact on skill rolls, and of course, there is always the possibility of sandstorms that can blind and disorientate the party. Wind and precipitation can also significantly affect gameplay, from traveling across the landscape to combat on the side of a cliff. Strong winds not only affect missile fire, but they can be used as a telekinetic force that hurls items around, requiring characters to roll their evades. Driving rain can cause surface to be slippery and even make holding on to their own weapons a challenge. Think about how heavy winds and driving rain would change skill rolls, difficulties, and visibility, and how the party's opponents could use these to their advantage. Once you have decided on the adverse effects of the weather, then giving that power to change the weather to an antagonist will make them a double threat. Whether your campaign is fantasy, superhero, or sci-fi, the power of nature itself can be easily incorporated into every session. And when it does, the players will definitely feel the incredible power of Mother Nature. Remember, if you would like to contribute to the podcast, then you can just drop me an email or message and let me know what you would like to have a chat about. I'm always looking for reviews or interviews with people. So if you are interested, you can email me at inwils@gmail.com or send me a message on the various forums I frequent. Just as a heads up, I will be contacting Loz to come along and give us an update on all the new releases when there is an update. So stay tuned for that in the future. Playing a variety of campaign settings, I am becoming increasingly aware of the importance of action points. And I'm not referring to the Action Points podcast, although that is also very important. In Mythras, action points are determined by the character's characteristics, while in M Space, everyone is limited to 2 action points. Only having 2 action points means that it's quite easy to keep track on everybody's action points, but it does limit what characters can do. In the classic fantasy imperative rules, the number of action points that characters have increase as they increase in their ranks. This, I think, will make a huge difference in what they can do. Currently, we have some rank 1 and some rank 2 characters, and that extra action point that the rank 2 characters have can allow them to take an opponent down quickly or even avoid being hit by evading or parrying. One of my most popular videos is the one where I describe a combat in Mythras. And after seeing this one, I received a request to create a video showing multiple opponents and characters fighting it out. This is still in production, but the importance of action points becomes obvious when facing multiple opponents. My initial idea was to allow my passive blocking and armor to absorb the blows that I don't have action points to evade or parry with. However, this allows the opponent to gain combat specials on the character, meaning that the weapon could bypass the armor or even they could trip or disarm the character. I am still progressing with the combat and trying to find the best way forward, but I would welcome any great combat strategic talents out there that you have used with your characters when facing multiple opponents. So do get in touch with me if you have any wonderful ideas. Coupled with this, I saw someone in the Discord looking to run a gladiator combat with a group. I really like the idea of this, so we will be including it in one of our action plays when we don't have the full group to play with. In connection to this, I find it very hard to damage my group, let alone make them unconscious. Yes, I know some of you have mentioned this to me. So in order to change, I will be organizing some sessions with my existing party when we tackle more formidable opponents in a fictitious combat. I'm interested in seeing how the group deals with, say, a dragon or something equally as powerful. Doing this will allow me to see how strong they really are, as well as gain a better understanding of how to help them avoid that next big boss. I'm not entirely sure who you should be wishing luck to, them or me. So go with whoever you think. And that's it. Another episode of Mythras Matters completed. Don't forget you can check out all my content by following my YouTube channel and exploring the campaign areas on World Anvil. Do check out my behind the scenes video detailing all the content I create for Mythras and other RPGs. I hope you will find something useful there. And as always, I appreciate your support. Don't forget to check out the Discord and the Tapper Talk forum, where there are some great people sharing their ideas within discussions, and make sure you are signed up to the newsletter. So until next time, have a great month of gaming, and I will chat to you all again in September. Until then, I hope all your pose will succeed and provide you with a well-deserved special. Thanks for listening, everyone. See ya. Bye. The content of this podcast is covered by the Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, so please give appropriate credit if you are sharing or copying any part of this podcast. Thank you.